did they do that? Why did they do that? You know why? Well, because Maharaj Parikshit, he was cursed to die in 7 days, and because he knew that he was going to die in 7 days, he was very intelligent, and he knew that he should dedicate his time to exclusively hearing about the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajatayante kalevaram. Whatever you think of at the time of death, that you get in your next life. According to your consciousness, it carries your subtle body, because we have a gross body which we can touch, but besides the gross body, there's a subtle body. It's something like a coat and the inside shirt. The outside coat is heavy, yeah? And the inside, the shirt is a little thinner, yeah. So the gross body is like the coat, and the inside body is the man, buddhi, ahankara. So however we focus our consciousness at the time of death, we get our next life, our next body. So yogis, devotees, they practice always remembering Krishna, so that at the time of death, you know what happens? They go to Krishna, to the spiritual world. There's a Sanatan Dham, where you can go. That's Krishna says, Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. That's my place, that supreme spiritual abode. So practice makes perfect. Krishna advises, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Always think of me, and at the same time do your duty. Practice. Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. Always think of me, Manmana. Think of me, Bhavamad Bhakto. Become my devotee. So people do the 7 because they want to emulate Maharaj Parikshit, like he did. But the thing is, we forget that we're going to die. We don't remember that part. And what people do, they take a shortcut. You know where Parikshit Maharaj started hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam? Which part? He went right to the 10th canto, right? Right? He started with first canto. Because without understanding the first several cantos, this is the basic, you know. Just like if you want to get to calculus, you have to know the basic math, right? You can't just go immediately to calculus. So same thing, the first canto gives the foundation to understanding the 10th canto. Oftentimes in the Bhagavad Saptaha, people, they go directly to the 10th canto and they just hear the 10th canto, but they have no understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And without that understanding, the hearing will be not very beneficial. So, Srila Prabhupada wrote this summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he gave commentary just to make sure, with that popular commentary, to make sure that people won't misunderstand, thinking that Lord Krishna is an ordinary person like you or me. Sometimes, even big politicians and swamis, they say, oh, Krishna is just, he appeared, and the people around him, they thought he was a wonderful person, so they glorified him, and afterwards they made him God. That's what they say. Even big politicians in India say that. But the proper understanding, without the proper understanding, we don't get the benefit. So, Srila Prabhupada wrote this Krishna summary study of the Krishna, Krishna, so that we get the proper understanding of Krishna. So that even if we go to the 10th canto, we won't be mistaken or deluded. So usually when they do these Bhagavatam, not like Maharaj Pariksit, for 7 days he didn't take any food or water for 7 days. And you know what else he didn't do? No sleeping for 7. So are we doing it? Okay. So we should read. What do you think we should read about today? What's that? How about the birth of Lord Krishna? Yeah, you agree with that one? The birth of Lord Krishna. This is chapter 3. We talked a little bit, a couple hours ago about the thing that led up to Krishna's birth. The world was overburdened by the unnecessary defense force of demonic kings. In society will become happy. So in order to become happy, the handbook to know how to become happy is Bhagavad Gita. And how to become happy is not just you become economically satisfied, because many, many people around the world have become economically satisfied, but that doesn't mean they become happy. And ultimately everybody has to die. Whether a good person or a bad person, rich or poor, smart or dumb, everybody dies. So there is a level of happiness that one can achieve that's beyond birth and death, that's transcendental, that's eternal. So the Kshatriya, the leader, should know that that's really the ultimate benefit for his or her subjects. And so therefore Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, a Rajarshi, a king, so that he could help support those principles in society for the ultimate benefit of the world. But that kind of especially meant for the Rajarshis. Okay, so here we are. The birth of Lord Krishna. So there was Kamsa. Kamsa tried to was going to kill Devaki, and Vasudeva distracted him, and finally Kamsa got the 6 sons, was presented by Vasudeva, the 6 sons, prior sons to Lord Krishna's birth. And what did Kamsa do with them? He assassinated them, he murdered them. Little kids, little babies. And then the 7th child, the 7th pregnancy of Devaki, the 7th pregnancy, that Kamsa didn't kill, that pregnancy. But it was transferred from Devaki's womb to Rohini's womb. Rohini was another of the wives of Vasudeva, But because Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were cousins, they were cousin brothers. Vasudeva's father was Shurasen, and Nanda Maharaj's father was Parjanya, and they had the same father. Those two had the same. Surasen and Parjanya had the same dad, but different wives. So when Vasudeva, there was all the trouble was coming about by Kamsa, he sent his wife to Nanda Maharaj's house because it's his cousin brother. Yeah. So Devaki's pregnancy was transferred to the womb of Rohini, who was staying with Nanda Maharaj in Gokul Vrindavan area, Gokul. And so that he appeared a short time before Lord Krishna, and his name was Baladev, Sankarshan. Yeah, those okay. So Vasudeva didn't have to give that baby to Kamsa because he was born through Rohini. But then Krishna was born. We'll read about Krishna's birth. And Vasudeva had made a promise that all the children that were born of Devaki he would give to Kamsa. What about that promise? What about that promise? He didn't give Krishna to Kamsa, did he? He broke his promise, right? What about that? What about that? So he broke his promise. This is almost like irreligion, right? But even in this case, for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even breaking the promise for actual service for Krishna, that's okay. There was a great devotee named Sanatan Goswami, and he was the minister of a Muslim king, but he was a great devotee. And he wanted to leave his post and join the movement, the Hare Krishna movement of Lord Chaitanya 500 years back. But the king was very angry at him, and he said no, because he was depending on him. Because of him, his kingdom was flourishing. So he put him in jail. Oh, you want to leave my service? No, I'll put you in jail. So you know what Sanatan Goswami did? He bribed the jailer, and he got out. You're not supposed to, bribing isn't a good idea. You have the black account, and isn't it? In India, you do that. So, but for Krishna's service, that's okay. Not for other things, not just talk, but actually. So he left. He got out of the jail. He gave him so many gold coins. He got out, and he went and joined Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya ordered him to go to Vrindavan and find all the places, the holy places where Lord Krishna did his pastimes, and write books supporting the idea, the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So, the birth, this is titled The Birth of Lord Krishna, chapter 3. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental. Is our birth transcendental? Is your birth transcendental? No. How do we take birth? We take birth because we're forced by our karma. We get a particular body, and with certain pains and pleasures we're going to get. We didn't choose it. We just, I like that one. No. So, but transcendental means he appears by his own choice. He accepts his devotee as his father-in-law. And one who understands his birth and activities factually becomes immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. That's a pretty big statement there, right? If we can just understand what's going on, what's happening with Krishna's Janma, if we really understand it, then we can go back to Vaikuntha. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. That's karma, right? The Lord's appearance is explained in the 2nd chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. This is the horoscope. You tell a person's background, a person's quality, his character, or her character by their horoscope. So, the astrological influence of the star known as Rohini became predominant. You know what Rohini is? What astrological sign? It's in Vrishab. What do you say? Taurus? Yeah, Vrishab. That's where there's in Vedic astrology, there's not just the signs, 12 signs, but there's also the nakshatras. And there's 27 nakshatras. So that means 2.5 in each sign. And the nakshatra gives added color to the horoscope. So the Rohini, in Rohini nakshatra, the Chandra is Ucha. Ucha means exalted, yeah. So Rohini is a special nakshatra that's especially favored by Krishna and Lord Brahma also. This star is considered, here it says, to be very auspicious and is under the direct supervision of Brahma. According to the astrological conclusions, beside the proper situation of stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious moments due to different situations in the planetary systems. At the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. What was the horoscope of Krishna? What you call it, Rashi? The Taurus was rising. And Venus, which is the lord of Taurus, and Saturn were in Tul. which is the 6th house, the house of enemies. So if you look at it in Krishna, and then Mars, you say Kuja was in the 10th house. Mars, as the Lord of the, Mars is in the 10th house. So from this you see that Krishna's business was killing demons. If you look at Krishna's activities, Krishna's pastimes, there's paritranaya sadhanam, vinashaya tuduskadam. Both things are going on, but more of the time he spent killing the demons because there are a lot of them. In this age of Kali, there are so many demons that if Krishna killed the demons in Kali Yuga, there would be hardly anybody left. So therefore, in Kali Yuga, Lord Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not to kill demons, but to kill our demonic mentality. The demonic mentality is, I am like God. I am the center, the most important person, and everybody should bow down to me. Subtly or grossly, we think this way. But really, all of us, our eternal spiritual nature is, we are the servant, eternal servant of Krishna. And if we act in that position, that becomes natural. Happiness comes. It's something like, if you water the root of the tree, all the leaves and the branches automatically become satisfied just by the simple process of watering the root. But if you try to water a leaf or a twig or the bark, nothing happens. It's not effective. It's not a very efficient method. But so Krishna is the root of creation. So Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, means to learn to water the root of everything that's Krishna, and so then everybody else will become pacified and happy. Okay, so we were talking about the horoscope. So it's Taurus rising, Saturn and Venus in Tool. Tool means Libra. Mars in Capricorn. Mercury is in what do you call it? Virgo. What do you call Virgo? Kanya. Yeah. So all these planets are exalted, and then or in their own sign. The Sun is in Singha, and Jupiter, Guru, is in Pisces. What do you say? Mean. So all the planets are either exalted or in their own signs. And then later we'll see that when the great Muni, Garga Muni, came to see Nanda Maharaj, he did the horoscope of Krishna, and you know what he looked? He looked at the horoscope and he said, you know what? This person is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nobody else can have this kind of horoscope. So from all different points of view, it's there. So anyway, at that time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky and on the surface of the earth. In all towns and villages and pasturing grounds and within the minds of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. See, this was during the time of Kamsa, and there was all kinds of problems going on. But at this time, just because Krishna is coming, everything is becoming very, very calm and peaceful. The rivers were flowing full of water, not polluted water either. And lakes were beautifully decorated with lotuses. And even the daytime lotuses often bloom in the daytime, but because of Krishna's appearance, those daytime lotuses were also blooming at night. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks, and the birds within the forest began to sing with sweet voices. Do you hear them? And the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. Have you seen peacocks dancing before? Did you see? It's quite amazing. Then when they're happy, they dance. Peacocks. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and greatly pleasing the sense of touch. You know, with a nice cool breeze, especially in India. You know, at this time of year, you think this is, how's the weather there? Well, it's raining, it's hot, yeah, it's really steamy, but then there's a nice breeze blowing. Yes. At home, the Brahmanas, who were accustomed to offering sacrifices in the fire, found their homes very pleasing for offering. Due to disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire had been almost stopped in the houses of Brahmins. But now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully, because they had been forbidden by Kamsa to have these yajnas. Because who is worshipped and satisfied by yajna? Krishna. And Krishna is the enemy of Kamsa, so why would Kamsa allow Krishna to be worshipped, right? So, therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Jagyatapasam. Bhoktaram Jagyatapasam. I am the enjoyer of all the yajnas and austerity, all sacrifices and austerities. Bhoktaram Jagyatapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, the Lord of all planets and demigods. Suhridam, Sarva Putana, and the best friend of each one of us. Gyatva Mam Shanta Michjati. If we can appreciate that and understand that, we'll become very peaceful and free from the pangs of material existence. Okay. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the Brahmins had been very much distressed in mind, but just on the point of Krishna's appearance. Automatically their minds became full of joy because they could hear the transcendental vibrations in the sky proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who's making sound in the sky? Devatas, yeah, the demigods. Demigods used to come to the earth, you know that? They don't like to come so much nowadays because, you know, not nice people here anymore. But during the Vedic age, when they would have a sacrifice, many times the demigods would come. Indra, Chandra, Agni, even Lord Brahma sometimes. When there was the inauguration of the Jagannath temple, you know Jagannath Puri? The king there, his name was Indradumna, he invited Lord Brahma, you come. And he came. So Lord Brahma came. Sometimes, even nowadays, very rarely, some demigod might come. Sometimes, when there were kirtans, very nice kirtans going on, the Hare Krishna Sankirtan in London and also in New York, Brooklyn. Srila Prabhupada, when he was chanting or speaking, he would sometimes, it happened a few times, he would just start singing. Narad Muni Bhajaye Vina Radhika Ramana Name. Narad Muni Bhajaye Vina. And so afterwards, devotees questioned him and said, you didn't see? You didn't see? Narad Muni came to see the kirtan of the Mlechas. Yeah, so even sometimes now, but it used to be much more common than nowadays. So the demigods were announcing the appearance of the Lord, just like in Christianity. They had the Annunciation. Yeah, the appearance of Lord Jesus Christ was announced by various angels. Here, see? The denizens of the Gandharva and Kinnara, Gandharvas means angels, and Kinnara planets began to sing, and the denizens of Siddhaloka and the planets of the Charanas began to offer prayers in the service of the personality of Godhead. So, according to the Vedic system, Vedic concept, there's many, many planets within this universe, and all of them are inhabited. All of them. By different, not necessarily people just like us, but by various kinds of beings. Just like here in this, every space you walk and there's a crack in the sidewalk and there's stuff growing up, right? So everywhere. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvagata, this living entities are Sarvagata, means all, everywhere. They're everywhere. other planets. So these siddhas and charanas were chanting and offering prayers and dancing. In the heavenly planets, the angels and their wives, along with the Vidyadharas and their wives, began to dance. So when you're happy, what do? You dance. You dance, sing and dance, right? That's what we do. Do you do that? Yeah, even though, okay, even old people, they can sing and dance. Right? The great sages and demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was the sound of mild waves. It's a very pleasing sound. Right? You like to, if you go to the beach or you get a condo, you want to get it right by near the seashore so you hear the sound of the waves, right? Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. And above the sea, there were clouds in the sky that began to thunder very pleasingly. Not heavy thunder, just a little rumbling. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing in the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu, Nandagera Nandabaya. Not yet in Nandagera Sastam. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon over the eastern horizon. Do you ever watch the rising of the moon? It's very pleasant, yeah, especially the full moon. So it's compared like that. It's Krishna's appearance. The objection may be raised that since Krishna appeared as the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is in the hierarchy of the moon, like we said, Chandravamsa, right? Therefore, although the moon was incomplete, because of the Lord's appearance in that dynasty, where the moon himself is the original person, the moon was in an overjoyous condition, so by the grace of Krishna, he could appear just like a full moon. If you have questions, by the way, at any time, feel free to ask. In an astronomical treatise by the name Kamanikya, the constellations at the time of the appearance of Lord Krishna are very nicely described. That's where I got the horoscopes from, that Kamanikya. It is confirmed that the child born at that auspicious moment was the supreme Brahman, the absolute truth. Krishna, we pray to Krishna. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. You know this prayer? It's a good prayer. Namo Brahmanya. No, I offer obeisances to the Supreme Brahman or the Lord of the Brahmins. Both. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. Go Brahman Hitayacha. And you are Hitaya means you are well-wishing. You wish the well to the go. Go means cows. So Krishna likes everybody. You know, even insects and butterflies and squirrels, but he especially likes cows. Go. Therefore he's called Govinda, Gopal. And he especially, Lord Chaitanya said, cow killers are condemned to rot in hellish life for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of the cow. Why? And there's so many, if you have to eat meat, there's so many other things. But don't kill the cow. So, go Brahman Hitayacha. He especially well wishes to the cows and the Brahmins. Jagat Hitaya. And he's well wishing the whole universe. Jagat Hitaya, who's that? Krishnaya. Govindaya Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to him. So Vasudeva saw that wonderful child born as a baby with 4 hands. Now once in a while you'll see an article about a child who's born in India who has 4 hands. Have you ever seen one of those? Have you seen that? Yeah, every once in a while. It's usually a deformity. They won't be able to use those hands. You know. They will be in a proper way. So like when Subhadra, Krishna Arjuna kidnapped Subhadra, right? But when Krishna kidnapped Rukmini, they were driving the chariot, and he had 4 hands. He could have 4 hands. He could shoot with this, and then drive the chariot with the others. All 4 hands are functional. What kind of child is born with 4 hands? What kind of child is born with 4 hands? You don't see that. And what did he have in those 4 hands? What did he have in those 4 hands? Come on. Conch shell, yeah. Wheel, that's right. Shank is conch shell. What else? Gada. And chakra, yeah. We said chakra, what is that? Lotus, Padma, yeah. So 2 of those items are for benedicting his devotees. Like, you remember Dhruva Maharaj? When Dhruva Maharaj was offering him respects, and he, after performing austerities and chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Lord Vishnu appeared to him. And when Lord Vishnu touched him with his shank, then Dhruva was able to speak wonderful prayers and benediction. So shank and Padma are for benediction, and chakra and gada are for punishing. It's like my name is Vishnu Gada Das. Vishnu Gada Das. Gada is club of Vishnu. And if you look at the club carefully, you see there's some blood on it. If you look at it carefully under a microscope. And when Srila Prabhupada initiated me, he said, Vishnu Gada means the club that Lord Vishnu uses to punish demons. So you should go and punish demons. And everybody laughed. So he had these 4 hands, and the 4. How did they fit in Devaki's womb? A club. He's wearing a helmet. He's got jewelry on. Decorated with the mark of Srivatsa, wearing the jeweled necklace with a Kaustuba stone. You know the Kaustuba? Fabulous gem. Some people say that the Kohinoor gem was from the Kaustuba. I don't know that. Some people say that. This gigantic, beautiful stone. Because dressed in yellow silk. Are any children born dressed in silk? You sure? Appearing dazzling like a bright blackish cloud, wearing a helmet bedecked with a Vaidurya stone, valuable bracelets, earrings, and similar other ornaments all over his body, and beautiful by the abundance of hair on his head. So hair, helmet. One of the reasons that Krishna appears, we said, Paritranaya Shadhunam Vinashaya Tudushkatam. And one of the atheistic opinions or ideas is that when God appears, he's stuck in a material body. Some people say, Krishna also has a material body. This is called Mayavadis. Mayavadi means Krishna's body is Maya, his Leela is Maya, it's all material. But here, Krishna's shows his birth is completely, just by his birth, he's showing that he's completely different than the appearances of all of us. He's not ordinary, just by his appearance. And you know what else happened? As soon as Krishna appeared, what did certain people want to do? They wanted to kill him, right? As soon as Krishna appeared, Kamsa and his cohorts, they wanted to eradicate Krishna because he was going to mess up their good thing, their sense gratification. So God, as soon as God comes, there's always a section of the population that wants to eradicate God for their own purposes, just like at this time. So as soon as Krishna appears, immediately Kamsa wants to kill him. Okay. Due to the extraordinary features of the child, Vasudeva, what do you think happened with Vasudeva, the father? He was shocked. He was struck with wonder. You'd think so, right? If you had a kid this way, It would be like amazing, right? You'd be so lucky, right? Vasudeva could therefore understand that Lord Krishna had now appeared. And he became overpowered by the occasion. Vasudeva very humbly wondered that although he was an ordinary living entity, conditioned by material nature, and was externally imprisoned by Kamsa, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, Krishna, had appeared as his child. You know, he's there stuck in a prison. So, but Krishna's, how's that happen? Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is coming in. It's amazing. Yeah. Exactly in his original position. No earthly child is born with 4 hands, decorated with ornaments and nice clothing. Oh, you know, there was a... do you ever watch Bollywood movies? Of course. They're very popular. Anyway, some years ago, I don't know, it was in the 80s, but you know, I'm kind of old. But they made one movie called Gopal Krishna. Did you ever see that movie? It was 80s. Anyway, what they did, they cast a very famous actor who was a gigolo as Krishna. Anyway, but then when they showed the birth of Krishna, you know what they showed? A crying little baby, scrawny little baby. Not how it is. That's because the information that they got is from the wrong source. Here, we know, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, according to the great teachers, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis, that when Krishna appears, he appears completely, unusually, transcendentally like this. Not like a scrawny little baby. There are babies who are scrawny. Usually the parents think they're cute. But it wasn't that. Everybody was thinking Krishna's cute here. Generally, when a male child is born, people celebrate people observe the occasion with jubilant celebrations. And in my home, although I am imprisoned, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken birth. How many millions and millions of times should I be prepared to observe this auspicious ceremony? So when Vasudeva, whose another name is Anakadundubi, that means there's some, when he's born, there's this wonderful drums playing. Dundubi is a kind of drum. Was looking at his newborn baby, he was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmins. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's palace, out of joy, the king gives many things in charity. Yeah. Cows decorated with golden ornaments. If you just get the gold nowadays, that's like incredibly valuable, right? So the Brahmins don't necessarily keep them. Arjuna is known as Dhananjaya. You know this? Dhananjaya, Arjuna. You know why? Was because Yudhishthira wanted to perform a sacrifice, a big sacrifice. And one of the reasons that big yajnas and sacrifices aren't performed nowadays so much is because it requires lots and lots of resources. You have to have lots of ghee and gold. They make an altar of gold. Who's going to have an altar of gold? You know, there's something called, you know, ever heard of a potlatch? Potlatch. Potlatch is something the Kwakiutl Indians in the northwest part of North America. They had this ceremony where, you know, they take all their valuable things and throw it in the fire. And how many valuable things you can throw in the fire, you have more prestige. But that's not what a yajna is. But they would use all these valuable things you required. So Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to do a yajna, so he told Arjuna, you go get resources. We need money to have this big yajna. Nowadays, nobody has the money. So then, therefore, the yajna for this age is not Svaha, it's Hare Krishna Kirtan. So anyway, so then Arjuna didn't know what he was to do. So then Lord Krishna said, well, you know what? There's this place up in the Himalayas, past, a little past Kashmir, where there's a king. He used to be so wealthy that he would give golden plates away. Every time he'd have a yajna, he'd give hundreds and hundreds of golden plates away to the Brahmins at the end of the sacrifice. This is called dan, right? Dan. We don't find this anymore, right? So the Brahmins would get these golden plates, and they think, what are we going to do with the golden plates? What are we going to do? It's too heavy. So they just throw it aside. They throw it aside. So Krishna told Arjuna, you go there, because there's all these golden plates left over from the Brahmins who throw their plates away. So therefore he brought that gold, and they were able to have the sacrifice. Yeah. Wow. So he's giving charity here. When Vasudeva was convinced that the newborn child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he bowed down with folded hands and began to offer him prayers. That's natural. That's natural. Krishna says that also. Manmana, always think of me. Bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. You know the next one? Mam namaskuru. He says, offer obeisances to me naturally. It's a natural thing. When you see someone who's superior, bow. I mean, Indian system is you go all the way down like a stick. They call it dandavat, dandavat. Western people don't like that, but that's the Eastern system. You go all the way down like a stick. So Lord Vasudeva, naturally he saw the Supreme Personality of God who appeared as his son, but was appearing with four hands standing there. Vasudeva then began to offer his prayers. My dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of all living entities and the absolute truth. You have appeared in your own eternal form. So his form is different than our form. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Sarva kshetreshu bharata. Sarva kshetreshu. We are, the individual soul, we are aware of what happens in our bodies. We know the pains and pleasures and stuff that's going on in our bodies. But Krishna says, Sarva kshetreshu bharata. I know what's happening in everybody's body. That's the difference between us and God. He knows, sometimes people have a difficult time thinking that God can be a person. You know why? Because in our experience, person means limited. I can be here in this room, but I can't be at the same time outside, or in India, or in Great Britain, or in South America, because I'm limited to this form here. But Krishna's form is anantarupam. Anantarupam means his form is unlimited, which means he can be one place and another place at the same time. This is really difficult for our material mind to comprehend, but this is a fact. This is a fact. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. In one sense, I am everywhere. The example is, if you have the sun is in one place in the universe or in the solar system, but it pervades everything by its energy, which is sunlight and heat. Yeah. So in that sense, that energy is everywhere, but even though the sun is localized. Similarly, Krishna, even though he has a form, he is a person, he's spread everywhere within the cosmic manifestation by his energy and also personally as Paramatma. Eko pyaso rachayitam jagadanda koti yachchaktirasi jagadanda chayayaranta andantarasta paramanu chayantarasta. He said, even he's within the atom and between the atoms. What's between the atoms? What's between the atoms? Krishna. Krishna. He says, he's there. Krishna's there within the atom and between the atoms. So, our experiences of people like us who have very, very limited forms and limited abilities, but we have to kind of take a different tack, open our minds, open our hearts to appreciate this form, this person is something omnipotent, beyond our conception. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya said that the Krishna conscious philosophy is called Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva. Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva means that God is simultaneously one with and different than everything in the universe. Just like we were talking, the energy and the energetic. Same and different. All right. So, we have like 6 or 10 minutes left. So, Vasudeva prays many prayers. And then after Vasudeva prays, guess what happens after Vasudeva prays? Any guesses? Devaki prays. No, she's not going to let this just Vasudeva. Mother Devaki also prays. They both pray. And then, at the end of her prayers, both of them were feeling a little worried. You know why they were worried? Because, look, you got this, they were worried that Kamsa is going to see, their child, the 8th child is born, especially this big form, Vishnu form. And they wanted to hide him away so that Kamsa wouldn't find out. But he was so big. So they said, would you mind making yourself a little smaller? Could you just make yourself a little smaller? And Krishna said, okay. Because they were afraid of Kamsa. Now, how is it that God, or the parents of God are worried that if it's actually God, that God can be hurt by Kamsa? Well, this is a little bit, this is very deep. This is a very deep understanding of bhakti. There are different rasas, or relationships, that a bhakta or devotee has with the Supreme Lord. And it's according to the level of intimacy in their relationship. Basically, everyone is, all of us, you and I, all of us, we have a relationship with God as a servant. But servant means there's a master, there's some kind of reverence. And that reverence makes a little bit of a distance. It's more formal when there's master and servant. So, for those devotees who become more advanced, the intimacy increases and the awe and reverence decreases. Because, a great person, one of the problems with greatness is they lose out on intimacy. It's hard to be friends with a great person. And who's greater than God? So, for those devotees who are very, very advanced, Krishna covers their awareness of his supreme identity so that they can believe they're on an equal level. Friends. Friendship is a possible best between equals. Who is equal to God? Nobody. Nobody is equal to God. But Krishna is called Yogamaya, his special spiritual potency that covers the devotee's consciousness and idea and awareness of God just so that he can serve God in a more intimate way. That's called Sakya-ras. And then, if you want to go even more intimate, there's Vatsalya-ras. Vatsalya-ras means the devotee thinks that they're the parent of God. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva yonishu kauntaya aham bija pradapita. Of all species, I'm the Father. So that's the fact. But, as we said, if for those people, everybody's approaching God and they say, God, give me this, give me this, give me this. It's like a child goes to their parent, right? What do I want for my birthday? What do I want for Christmas? These things I want. Isn't that why we approach God usually? Yeah. So, who does more service? The child or the parent? Who does more? Parent. Parent does. So, for those people, for those devotees who are especially advanced, he allows them to believe he's their child, so they can serve him more thoroughly and more intimately. So therefore, Vasudeva and Devaki, Yogamaya covered their awareness. They're praying to him that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but then Yogamaya kicks in and they say, well, I'm worried. Nobody can kill God, but I'm worried that Kamsa might kill you because you're my child. So Krishna then changed himself into the small, you say, Balakrishna? Balakrishna form, Balakrishna form. And he said, now take me to Gokul and exchange me there, up there. Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, which they're relatives there, just gave birth to a baby girl. So Nanda Maharaj, also by the influence of Yogamaya, even though they were in the prison, the influence of Yogamaya opened the prison. And the guards, who were very, it wasn't like Epstein, but the guards, they went to sleep by the influence of Yogamaya. So Vasudeva was able to go right out and take baby Krishna across Jamuna from Mathura, because Krishna appeared in Mathura, across Jamuna to Gokul. And at that time, Mother Yashoda had just given birth, and she was kind of just exhausted. I know moms know this. After giving birth, after labor, that they become completely exhausted. She was exhausted, so she didn't know. She gave birth to what? Was it a boy or girl? She didn't know. So then Vasudeva exchanged the baby Krishna for the girl, Yogamaya, and brought Yogamaya back. On his way, some say that Krishna fell in the water at Jamuna. You know this? You know this? Yeah. Because Vasudeva was carrying, because he had to cross. How did he cross the Jamuna? How did he cross? It wasn't like Moses or anything, but he was wading across, and he was holding Krishna on his head. But then a big, some wave came, and Krishna fell. But then Jamuna, who's also a devotee of Krishna, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, gave him back. So that's the problem. So then Yogamaya, the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda, was brought back to the prison house of Kamsa. It all took place at the same night. So then the guards, by that time, they woke up and they say, hey, the child is born, and they alerted Kamsa. And then Kamsa, he was thinking, now the person who is destined to kill me has appeared. So he immediately rushed to the prison house. And you know what he did? What's that?
He killed her.
What's that?
He killed her?
He tried to kill her, yeah, he tried to kill her. But this was, the child of Yashoda was actually an expansion of Mahamaya. So he took the baby and was going to dash her against the stone, but she flew up into the sky. And she said, sorry, the person who's born to kill you has already appeared elsewhere. And I have appeared to engage in his service. So then, Kamsa practically went crazy. So then he started all of his conspiracies to try to kill all the babies that had been born, in a certain period of time in the whole area of, Vraj. So therefore, he had he employed Putana, who was a Kechari. You know what a Kechari? Kechari is witches, and they ride on uprooted branches. Anyway, Kechari. So Putana came there when he was just a small baby, employed by Kamsa to come and kill Krishna by putting poison on her breast. And because she was a demoness, but she had many other demons have mystic type powers. So just because someone has magical powers doesn't make them godly necessarily. So many, like Putana, she was a witch, but she had some special powers. So even though she was awfully ugly, teeth, fangs, she changed herself into looking like an apsara, a goddess. And so when she came into the house of Nanda Maharaj, she was so beautiful that everybody thought, oh, this is Lakshmi herself coming to see Krishna. They thought. They didn't know that she had speared poison on her, very, very heavy poison. And so then she came, and they said, okay, yeah, let her right in. Took Krishna on her lap, and tried to make him suck her breast, as children do, like a nursemaid. And you know what happened? She's less than 3 months old. Krishna sucked the life air out of Putana. And in death, she couldn't keep her ruse of being beautiful like Lakshmi. So her final gigantic witch body was revealed, and as she died screaming, child, leave me. So Krishna didn't have to perform any austerities or yogic practice or do any weightlifting to kill Putana, because he was already God. He already had all potency. And he's Bhagavan. Bhagavan means Aishvaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashashashriya Jnana Vairagyaschapi. Aishvarya. Aishvarya means wealth. Aishvarya is full. Viryasya, most powerful, most potent, most powerful. More than anyone else. Viryasya Yashasha means fame. Shriya, beautiful. Jnana, knowledge. Vairagya, chapi. All these things, these six opulences in full, are exhibited by Krishna as Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he showed them right from the time of his birth. He didn't have to develop them or practice any mystic yoga process. So this is very instructive for us. Today, we can remember Krishna, and we can serve Krishna very nicely by making offerings of love. Krishna doesn't need anything that we have. You know why? Because he has it already. We think in the meantime we have a lot of stuff, right? But in a moment it can be taken away, because actually it all belongs to him. So he doesn't need any of our offering. But what he does want is our love. So if we give a prayer, if we give a chant, if we give an offering, let's see if we can offer it with full love and devotion. And Krishna says, if you do that, he will reciprocate with you. He will be pleased with you and reciprocate with you, and even eat your offering and show himself to you. Just like he showed to Vasudeva and Devaki. This is pretty amazing. So this is our opportunity. The best process of doing that in this age, according to Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, is to regularly, which means at least daily, chant the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nanda Gir Ananda Bhayo. Nanda Gir Ananda Bhayo. Nanda Gir Ananda Bhayo. Haribo. Thank you very much. How many people we have in here? Is it 25 or less? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We're about 24, 25. Okay, not too bad. So usually what we do now is we do some kirtan before, just leading up to the last arati at midnight, because Krishna appeared at midnight. You know that. So we'll chant some. We'll usually chant Hare Krishna. We also chant prayer Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna. You know this one? Yep. Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinath, Madan Mohan. These three names of Krishna are particularly important. There are steps in understanding and developing your bhakti. Steps. They're described by Lord Chaitanya and Rupa Goswami. So, first of all, you have to, in order to have a loving relationship, you have to know, what is the relationship? What is the relationship? So, just like a man and a woman, they may get married. Okay, so then they're husband and wife. Okay, that's the relationship, right? And then, after knowing what the relationship is, then there's activity in the context of that relationship that's defined by that relationship. So the husband and the wife, they're mutual service, and they do things. And then, at the last, there's the result of the relationship. So in married life, it might be they might have a child, right? So there's the relationship, acting in the relationship, and the result of the relationship. That's called three things. Sambandha means understanding the relationship. Abhidheya means acting in that relationship. And prayojana means experiencing the goal, the result of that relationship. So there's three deities in Vrindavan that are the epitome and the manifestation of those three levels or steps in devotional service. Sambandha, establishing the relationship, is Madan Mohan, that person who conquers Cupid. Cupid's another name is Kamadev. Kamadev means material lust. Material lust. So that person who conquers over your material lust, that's Madan Mohan. And then the deity who you act in service to in the relationship is Govinda. And the result of the acting in service is Prem, love of God, and that's epitomized by Gopinath. Sri Govinda, Gopinath, Madan Mohan, those three there. Shyam Kund, Radha Kund, Giri Govardhan, Kalindi, Jamuna, Jaya, Jai Mahaba. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
I think it's just Kirtan now.
Okay.
Who's leading?
Drum player? Or flute players or bass players?
Are you leading? Okay.
Okay. Well, look who's here. Social distance. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti
Namaho Vishnu Padaya.
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radhe, Jai Krishna. Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jai Krishna. Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jai Krishna. Jai Vrindavan. Jai Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Jaya Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan, Radhe. Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madan Mohan. Oh, Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madan Mohan. Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madan Mohan. Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan. Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahabal. Jaya Jaya Mahabal. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madan Mohan. Shri Govinda Gopinatha. Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madan Mohan. Radhe Govinda Jai Radhe Govinda. Radhe Govinda Jaya, Radhe Govinda Jaya, Radhe Govinda Jaya, Radhe. Radhe Govinda Jaya, Radhe Govinda Jaya, Radhe Govinda Jaya, Radhe. Hey, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Nanda Gera Nanda Bhayo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nanda Gera Nanda Bhayo, Nanda Gera Nanda Bhayo, Nanda Gera Nanda Bhayo. Shri Krishna Janmastami ki. Okay, so the appearance here of Shri Shri Radha Sharad Bihari, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, we are all very excited, happy, and inspired to see them. But outside the temple doors there's a whole group of people that are also very inspired to see them, and we all can't be in here at once. So if you're not part of the Kirtan team, what we're going to do is we're going to do a rotational. Everybody's going to get a chance to see the Lordship. So we ask that everybody that's inside here on the carpet, you're going to have to move out, and you're going to all take darshan in a line. This way it'll allow everybody to get a chance to take darshan. Once you go around, some people will leave. You have prasadam on the way out, and if there's room, then you can come back inside. Okay.
Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Padaya, Swami Ichinamine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
I want to have her take it up on the. I want to have her take him up on the altar.
Okay, that's what I can do.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktarinda.
I want to have her take it up on the altar
Okay.
to get the close ups of during the service. We just on our knees. We can do much.
Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Om Vishnu Paramahamsa Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Maharaj ki. Mantra Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Namaskar Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Govardhan ki. Radha Dham ki. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Gangamai Yamunamai ki. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Shri Brihad Mridanga ki. Shri Krishna Janmastami Mahotsava ki. Janmastami Mahotsava ki. Shri Krishna Janmastami Mahotsava ki. Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. His Divine Grace, Mr. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. You gotta be ready.
Can you wipe it really well?
Janmastami, everyone. I want to thank all of you for coming out. All those that volunteer, who work really hard to help this festival take place in the very beginning. We had a lot against us with regards to so many rules and restrictions we had to follow. I'm even alone with it, and it's been blessed out. So thank you to all of you. There's a lot more than people that are here right now. But one meditation that I had going into this is, we read about Krishna and his Leela. You know, 5,000 years ago, over 5,000 years ago, Margaret is in his palace and he has all these servants. And this is Krishna's palace, and we are his servants. We are living Krishna's Leela, if we have that proper mentality. You know, the same servants that we read about, we have a chance to train ourselves to be like him. So this is a great opportunity for us in our lives. These festivals, especially there are times where there's so much Shakti, so much spiritual potency, that if we give ourselves to it, even though it's exhausting, and we're frustrated sometimes, and why the heck am I doing this? But Krishna's mercy is so powerful in these days. So I hope that this is meaningful to you. Thank you again for all your hard work, your dedication to make this very special. Yeshivara Sharanagani Ki Jai! Prabhupada Ki Jai! And the real mercy of Sri Krishna Janmastami is that after we go through the austerity and the bliss of the day, we get a chance to wake up and do it all over again tomorrow.
Did you get it for everybody?
Jai.
One, two, three.